Right, let me set the scene. It's 2023. It's the start of 2023. I've just started freelancing. Now, I know at this point, I've got nothing. No clients, no traction, no nothing, no projects even to show. So all I know at this point is that I need to share as much of my work as I possibly can to even have the chance of getting even a client to even look at my work, let alone inquire. Now, it was at this point where I started creating cringy content. I was working on passion projects, but what I was doing is I was treating my work weeks as if, or I was treating these passion projects like they were client projects. So I'd schedule in allocated time a day to work on these projects. I was still working 8, 9, 10-hour days, even though I wasn't being paid for it. But I knew I had to get into this rhythm of feeling like I was working on client work. I was setting myself up so when I do get client work, my days are already, scheduled and planned as if I'm already working on clients. I think I did around 6 passion projects within the space of like 3 months. And these passion projects were sort of just like, I was just making things that I liked. I was making brands that I'd love to see in the world and ultimately that I'd love to work on myself. So I was creating work around the work I wanted to get hired for. Now I did this over the space of, I started freelancing in January. I started uploading Reels to Instagram in July of 2023 because I knew Reels is where everyone's attention was. I knew that was the best chance of getting eyes on my work. And then I created this one passion project called Smash Flip. Let me show you it. So yeah, this was Smash Flip. This was a passion project I worked on. Super illustrative, really cool. I still love it to this day. It was amazing. I created all these crazy illustrations. Look at it. I mean, it's amazing. The theme was a skateboard themed smash burger food truck. And I really went to town on it. It's super illustrative, like I say. And it's just because I had complete fun, complete creative reign on this. Created all these secondary logos. I went to town on all these mock-ups because this is something I'd love to see in the real world. I was just creating things that I really wanted to make. Now, yeah, when I uploaded this project, it got such good attention, such good feedback off my followers. I think I had probably around 5,000 followers on Instagram at the time. And those followers were accumulated just from making silly, cringy reels. And when I uploaded this, everything sort of changed. And then a week later, I uploaded a reel creating this project and it got like 200,000 views. Now, this is where everything started to sort of change. Because within this same week, my website had just gone live. I knew I had to get my website out to even be taken seriously or even get quality leads through because I wasn't even getting DMs on Instagram. I don't reply to any DMs on Instagram asking for logos because they're not serious, they're not quality leads. So I knew by having a website, by having an inquiry form, I could funnel people better. Now, when it comes to having an inquiry form on your website, this is absolutely crucial. You want to have these things. You want to have the name of the brand for them to fill in, the email, a bit about the project, estimated budget, estimated timeline. Now, these are super important, which I'll talk a bit more about in a bit, why you need to include them. Now, within this week as well, I'm going to read you an entry from my journal that I wrote 1 week before I landed my first big paying client. Life ticking by, looking forward to my graphics business taking off. Finished my website for release, still more things to add, but all the core things are there. I feel very patient, not expecting instant results, but the sense of anticipation is there. Think I need a little side hustle project too, not sure what yet. I just need to solidify all the groundwork for graphics business, thinking I need to brand it Harry's Design Company or something alongside my name. So you can already see that I remember at this point I had this self-belief, something was happening, I was doing all the right things, I was creating passion projects, I was creating reels showcasing my work, my website's gone live, I was doing all these little steps that something had to happen soon, and I truly believed it and felt it in me. And it's interesting because on this same day I wrote, kind of just want to go hard on a project like a YouTube channel. I know I keep going on about a food channel. This is something I wanted to do before my graphics design, but I'm doubting if that's for me now. I mean it is, but in a more diverse than just food. What would I love just making content on? I found it a year later, this YouTube channel. And now this was a week later. Well, I know it's been a week since I last wrote, but today was a huge day for me and my journey. My new website went live a few days ago, and within 2 days, I got my first inquiry submission. Now, when I got this inquiry through, my excitement was through the roof. I was sat on the sofa watching a film, and I got a notification on my phone from Wix, and I was like, "What's that?" And it was a new inquiry submission. I was like, my heart started going. I was sat next to my partner. She was super stoked. And now I opened the email and I looked, and now it wasn't a particularly good inquiry. It was probably an inquiry I'd probably ignore now, just with what it said. It just said, need brand identity, can you help? Something like this I'd probably usually ignore now, because I want people to give me quite a lot of information to see if it's worth following up. But it was my first ever inquiry, of course I wasn't going to ignore it. And they ticked one of the higher budgets, one of the 4-figure budgets on there, so I was like, oh, this is insane, do you know what I mean? And I couldn't quite believe it at first, because I was like, why is this person inquiring with me when there's so many better designers out there? Why have they come to me? So yeah, I booked them in for a call about 2 days later. Got on a call with them. We were chatting for about 45 minutes. And we got to the end, and I quoted my price, which was terrifying. I was terrified to quote it because I'd never quoted anything like it in my life. But when I did it, I felt confident, and I knew that was my worth. I knew I could do this. So I did, quoted it. Anyway, got to the end of the call. They were happy. He agreed to the price on the call, which was amazing. And then I just asked out of interest, so how come you reached out to me about this? And he said, well, I was looking through all designers, but your personality shone through your videos. And that was it. But now, this is the part that matters. The ball's being thrown, but can you swing that bat to get a home run? And I mean, can you hold yourself well on that call and present confidently within yourself? A big part of if you're going to land a client or not is how you hold yourself on the call. Now, luckily, I come from a hospitality background. I've worked in hotels, bars, restaurants since I was 17. So I've always known how to communicate with people, how to keep a conversation flowing, how to make people smile, and sort of, how to converse with people. So I've always been able to do that quite well since I was a kid, do you know what I mean? I've always been quite outgoing in that aspect. So when it came to, jumping on this discovery call, I mean, I was nervous, so nervous, heart was racing, everything, but I know how to keep it going, do you know what I mean? So yeah, this is a skill that you really need to learn, is being able to communicate effectively with clients. So some little tips about when you get on a client call. Now, this is typically how I structure it, or how I do it. So you want to, I've just wrote down some notes, but you want to look presentable. You don't have to be wearing a suit or anything, super smart. But I mean, don't be sitting slouched like that. Don't have your hood up, be presentable, so you can move your arms, because, a lot of communication is done through body movement, your smiling face. I think it's like 5% of communication is done through words. I think, and then 75 is through body movement, and then 25% is through face movement. I've got those probably statistics all wrong. But yeah, just look presentable, have a nice backdrop, and yeah, just make sure everything looks nice and friendly and stuff like that. Build rapport. So as soon as you get on call with a client, acknowledge something about them, acknowledge something about the business, say what you like, make them feel at ease, make them feel, like I say, you just want to be friendly, but not too friendly, professional. Acknowledge them, make them feel, already valued, and yeah, understand them. Listen to them, let them talk, the client always do the most talking. Make sure you're taking notes. Another way of making them know they feel listened is following up from things they've said. Reference things they might have said earlier in the call and bring them up later in the call to know you've listened, so they know you've listened. Little things like that. Just let them know that they're heard, you understand their goals, their problems. Write a few questions down before the call. Now, I know people that write down 20 questions to do on a client call. I don't see the point in that. I see writing down 5 little questions that covers about the business, because if you are going to work with them, you're going to send them over a 35-page questionnaire anyway to really deep dive. So I'll give you some examples of questions I just ask. Is literally just tell me a little bit about your business. And then here, they'll usually go on and tell you all loads of things about the business, how it was started. So you don't need to ask specific questions like, how was your business started? What was the turning point for you to make you realise you needed to start this brand? Because they usually cover it in just, tell me a little bit about your business. And then following on from that, I usually just ask, why are you looking to brand now? Why is the refresh good for you now? Why are you looking to upscale your branding right now? Talk about who are your competitors, just so you have a little brief know of who they're competing against, and then what makes you unique compared to them competitors, and then how does the brand want to be perceived? So these are just little questions, and then I always just, one thing you want to try and get out of the call is you want to find out their goals. What's a successful outcome for them for this project? So asking what your goals are, because the reason you ask this is because you need to put these in the project proposal after the call. If you want my project proposal template, it's in the description, and use the code YouTube10 to get 10% off. It's the project proposal I use to land all my clients. So yeah, check it out below if you want it. And then what do you think the brand needs to be equipped with to successfully move forward? So at this point, you're getting to know what deliverables they need. They need a logo suite, they need typography, they need colors, they need maybe social media templates. So you're building up what they need here to include in the proposal as well. And yeah, that's usually about it. And then at this point, you want to go through your process, clarify your process. How it might look working with you. I have a 5-step process. I have discovery, and then this is our discovery phase here, and then I go into creation, and then I go into refinement, and then I go into asset creation, and then I go into finalize, and then just talk about your process, how it might look, because the clients love this, because because they've done all the talking at this point, and this gives them a minute to sit back, listen to you for a minute, and then and this is where you're selling your process, and then they're starting to imagine what it's going to be like to work with you. And then after this, talk about a little bit about budget. And at this point, if you've put on your inquiry form estimated budget, you know what sort of figures you're playing with here. This is why it's important to have a budget and timeline on your inquiry form, because one, if they need it done within a month, but you can't do that, there's no point getting on a call with them. If you know their budget's too small, there's no point getting on a call with them, because you're not going to work with that. However, I do find, if clients do put a certain budget, they are usually willing to go outside of that budget if they really need this done, and what your services will provide what they're looking for and a solution to their current problem. So yeah, having a budget on there is absolutely critical. It changed the game for me because it made quality of leads so much higher. So yeah, discuss budget and talk about it. Now, you don't have to give a certain price on the call. Sometimes you can say, I need to go away and talk about this, but you can do it if you have a set price for this package and you sort of know you want to give the price on the call. And then once you give the price, stop talking. Just say, that's the price. And then let them do the talking after that. And then you want to talk about discussing next steps. So yeah, thanks for getting on the call. This has been great. Next steps, I'm going to send you a project proposal so that you can take it away, have a little look at this. It's going to have the timeline on there, deliverables, investment, and yeah, have a look at that. So you're discussing the next step, what to expect to happen after this call. And if you accept the proposal, great. I'll send over the contract and the deposit invoice, and we can get moving. And most importantly, be transparent, because a client wants to know exactly the steps within it, and that be transparent through all these little steps I've spoke about. And then even more importantly, just be yourself. Let your personality shine through. Just don't put any pressure on yourself. Just relax. Let yourself just as if you're talking to, imagine you're just going into a call with a friend. I know you're trying to sell yourself, but don't try and sell yourself too much. Now, this is something, that I want to talk about as well. People say, don't over deliver, don't promise the world, under promise, over deliver, and all this. But right, if this is your first client, your first ever client, and this is what happened with my first client, I overpromised on everything. Not in a bad way. Like they were like, oh, I need packaging and you need this, I need that. I was like, yeah, I could do all that. So I did. I went all out because I wanted to land my first client and have a real case study. So if it's your first one, don't worry. Just make sure you secure the client. Give them what they need, give them what they want, and yeah. Because after you land your first client, it's like the compound effect. You'll become more confident, and every inquiry call you get on will become easier and easier and easier until you are so confident in charging your worth, your price. You're confident that your service is going to help them. It just becomes so much easier. So yeah, after the call the same day, I sent a project proposal over. This is super important as well, sending a solid project proposal after a call. And after, they accepted my proposal, signed the contract, the deposit was paid into my bank account. And when this happened, this was a pivotal moment, because previous, I'd been spending months creating cringy content, creating passion projects. You know, I wasn't paid for any of this. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really know the direction I was doing. All I know is just I needed to share as much as possible. But I had no idea what the outcome would be. Even though I had all this self-belief, I was kind of thinking, is any of this worth it? That deposit for my first big paying client job, it was reassurance and confirmation that I can do this, do you know what I mean? And the amount of confidence that then gave me was unparalleled. Now, the only thing that really truly sets you apart from another creative, another designer, is your personality and your story. If your personality, values, whatever, lines up with a potential client more than another designer, even though the designer might be slightly better than you, you're getting that job. Because people want to work with people, not just portfolios, pretty much. Now, I'm not saying making video content, short form, long form, is the only way to get clients. Of course it isn't. There's LinkedIn, Behance, posting stills, Facebook, outreach yourself, calling people, going into local businesses. Now, I don't do any of that, simply because what I'm doing right now is working very well. You might think I'm maybe putting all my eggs in one basket, but the success I've had with the client inquiries from the content I make on Instagram and now the content I make on YouTube, I don't really need to do LinkedIn. One, I don't really get it or understand it. I literally only have time really to market myself on with these videos because these YouTube videos take so long and the Instagram reels take so long to make. I don't have time to do LinkedIn, do Behance as well. I mean, I'm going to probably start Behance, probably upload some projects on there. But anyway, I'm just saying, you've got to think about where the eyeballs are. Where's everyone's eyes? Instagram reels, TikTok. I personally don't use TikTok, but that's because I just don't like the audience on there. Call me naive, but I just don't like the people, like the comments you get on TikTok, and the audience just isn't as nice as on Instagram. I'm not a user of TikTok, so yeah, I just don't like TikTok. So don't worry if you don't like TikTok. Instagram is booming. YouTube Shorts as well. I see people having success on YouTube Shorts. So yeah, I've found what works for me. So like I say, this is what works for me. Find what works for you. If posting on LinkedIn and Behance works for you, go hard on that. If posting on TikTok works for you, go hard on that. If cold outreach going around local businesses works for you, go hard on that. But for me, this works because it also doubles up as building a personal brand. These videos I make, the Instagram reels I make, building these two platforms, it's slowly building my personal brand, and I can help. So it all, and one of my biggest ethos is helping designers right at the start, because I didn't have any of this information. This is information I was looking for, and I couldn't find it, so I really winged it and found my own way, which I do still think you need to do. Like everything I'm telling you now is just my personal experience. You've got to find your own way and make mistakes and fail, because, well, they're not failures, they're stepping stones. So yeah, but like I say, think about where the eyeballs are. You're going to get, if you want eyes on your work, I really recommend making short form content on Instagram, showing your process, showing your personality, showing your story, showing your designs, share as much as possible. And you'll just find out what works, because trust me, you don't even need a video to blow up. A few thousand views could be, one of those 1,000 views could be, a client looking for work. And one thing I've learned as well doing this is there's more than enough work for every single designer. More than enough, because, I had a month where I had one reel blow up and I had about 50 inquiries in my inbox. These are all people looking for brand identity, logos, design, and I couldn't fulfill any of them because I was already working on 2 big projects and I couldn't take on any more work. And that solidified to me there's plenty of people out there looking for logo and brand identity jobs, or whatever you provide us service. Now, another tip I want to give you is when you do get an inquiry form through, the email you send back is very, very important. Now, I've had designers come to me saying, what's your email response rate to client inquiries? And I say, well, it's about 95%. And they couldn't believe it. And they were saying, they were getting inquiries through, they were sending emails back, but hearing nothing back about jumping on a discovery call and finding more out. I said, send me the email you're sending. And it was instant. I knew exactly what the problem was. The email they were sending back looked like it was coming from the customer service team from Target or something, because it was so corporate. It was so corporate and it was so long. I literally send an email back saying, "Hey, John, thank you for inquiring. Really appreciate it. Absolutely love the sound of the project. Maybe talk a little bit about, I love the idea behind the brand, yada yada. It's something that I can really resonate with. Would you be down for jumping on a discovery call at this day, this time? Let me know if you're free. Let me know if you're free at this time. Question mark. Best, Frankie." Super simple, super casual, super friendly, because the potential client will just see this email, see that he's interested, see the date and time, and all they need to respond is yes or no, that time doesn't work for me. Would you be free at this time? Boom, discovery call booked in. That's how simple you need to keep client inquiry emails. Don't be corporate. You're not a large corporation. You are a single freelancer. Remember, let your personality shine through. Be friendly. Don't be too friendly, but be friendly. And it makes the client feel at ease straight away. You don't want to be corporate at all. So remember, when you're sending an email to a potential inquiry, just nice and simple, short, sweet, friendly, simple. So yeah, to conclude, how to get your first clients. Well, it's about volume, producing as much content as you can, sharing as much work as you can, most importantly, letting your personality shine through. Start to share a little bit about your story, what makes you different, why you started design, what your values are. Share this in the content you make, even if it's in just the copywriting on a LinkedIn post, because this is what people want. They want to work with people. People don't want to just see an amazing visual identity and visual logo design you've worked on, and they're going to think, yeah, I want this guy to work. They want to work with you. They've got to remember, this is a branding design can be a 8-week project, 10-week, 12-week. They're in for a long haul with working with one person. They want to know if you're a nice person, if you're gonna, if they're gonna align, if they're gonna get on with you. So people want to work with people, not just portfolios. Make sure you have a solid website set up. Not even solid, just as long as it shows your work, whether these are passion projects, bits of jobs you've done before. Have a process page on your website. Show what it might be like to work with you. And now, very importantly, is have an inquiry form which outlines budget, timeline, a detailed bit about the project, and name, brand, things like that. This is really important. And then hopefully this could be, you could get your first client in 3 weeks, you could get your first client in 6 months, could be a year. For me, it was 9 months, but it can be longer. Everyone is different. It just depends on the output you're putting out there, how many projects you're working and sharing, the quality of the content you're sharing. It depends on when you might land your first client. But let me tell you this now: nobody has ever worked and placed all these little bets and got everything, all the foundations lined, and not gone anywhere. It's not happened. And if it has, there's something flawed in that process. There's something gone wrong. So yeah, and then setting everything up right for that first client inquiry call. I went through that with you. Be personable, show up on time, write down a few questions, make sure the client feels listened, and have a follow-up, and be clear about your process, timelines, be completely transparent about everything. And that hopefully should land your first client, and then after that, one after another, it's the compound effect. It becomes easier, you become more confident. And that's how it worked for me. Now, I'm not saying this will work for everybody, but that is how it worked for me. And I know for a lot of other designers, creating short form, long form, creating content around the work they create is really working right now. So that is my advice. I hope you can take something away from this video, and I very much appreciate you being here. And I'll see you next week.